Hey, what's up guys, TotallyDubbed here, and today I'm doing a video review on the Philips BDM3470UP. This is a massive 34-inch display running at QHD. That means 3440 times 1440p at 60 Hz, running an aspect ratio of 21:9. As you can see on my desk, it's absolutely massive. So before getting into the specs, it's pricing. So I found it on Amazon.co.uk for around £600, and it can be found on Amazon USA for a ridiculous $1,700. So I'm pretty sure that price is either old or just from a private seller, which it is displayed as a private seller, but it's just ridiculously expensive. So the benchmark price I'm taking at is at £600 that can be found on Amazon UK. Links will be in the description below. Now specifications, again, I'll link that down in the description below. But as I said, it is a 34-inch monitor. Its response time is 14 milliseconds. It can be boosted down to 5 milliseconds via smart response, where you boost down the response time, and that does work, but I did find that you do get a little bit of ghosting whilst you do that. In terms of its connections, it's got DisplayPort, HDMI, which is also MHL compatible. It's also got DVI, VGA, and audio in and out. It also has on the right hand side of the monitor a USB 3.0 connection, which has two USB 3.0 ports and two USB 2.0 ports, and one of those USB 3.0 ports has a fast charge, which means you can charge your phone a little faster than a normal USB port will be able to provide. So other than that, I'll leave the specs in the description below. Those are the main specs that you really want to be listening out for. So let's get straight into it. Now let's talk about the build quality for starters. So it has this massive stand which is using a VESA mount at the back. I wish I could just turn it and show it to you, but it's quite hard to do so as it's such a big monitor. But anyway, its stand is very rugged, it's very solid, and it doesn't really wiggle that much. Obviously, if you start turning it, as it's a massive monitor, it has got a lot of leeway and it's going to just wobble a little bit, but in terms of its overall performance, in terms of if I'm shaking on a desk or something like that, it's very sturdy for such a massive monitor. In terms of its mount, if I'm not mistaken, it's 75 x 75 millimeter VESA mount, and you do have screws which are included in the box that come with the stand. Now the stand allows you to go up and down, and then also tilt it around like so, which is nice in terms of its using, and obviously you can try and turn it a little bit over here, but you can't, you know, put it full 180 and see it like that, because it's absolutely, again, massive monitor. So in terms of its stand, it works, it's good, and in terms of its overall build quality, I'm actually very impressed. I like the finish, it's quite nice and a little black. It's got small bezels on the side. In fact, it's almost like it's got no bezels, because the actual plastic bit of it is pretty much, you know, a couple of millimeters thick, whereas the screen itself has a black sort of bezel on its own, if that makes sense. So you got the screen, a black bezel which is kind of built into the screen and display, and then you've got the actual plastic bezel. So it's a very low profile bezel, and I really like that. So it looks very nice and very easy to see on the eye, and I do like the finish over here with Philips. So small things like that, but it does make a difference. On-screen display is very easy to use. You've got little buttons over here, very small buttons, they're not overdone, but very easy to use, and you'll be able to go through all the different settings. So, you know, you've got your picture settings, your audio settings. Obviously I'm running it on DisplayPort right now. Make sure if you're running on DisplayPort, run it on DisplayPort 1.2 and go into Setup over here and choose DisplayPort 1.2 in order to enable that. And then you obviously got the resolution notification, you know, in case you want to run optimal resolution. So as I said, it does run at 60 Hz. You're going to need the right connections for that, so make sure you've got a right connection. So as I said, DisplayPort 1.2 for me is what brought 60 Hz. At DisplayPort 1.1, it does not show at 60 Hz. So do bear that in mind, that you better have the GPU to power this massive monitor. So in terms of the screen display and how it actually performs, so I'm just going to reduce the EV on my camera, so it just inlines better with the colors. So just I boost it up usually just so that you guys can see like the external bits of it. So the monitor itself is absolutely stunning. Now obviously it's using its IPS display. It is very beautiful to look at, and the wallpapers I have here are not really optimized, I would say, for its screen resolution, but they are 1440p resolution wallpapers. And on top of that, I did test on certain games to see how it would look like, and it does look absolutely stunning. So the color reproduction is very well done. Out the box, I didn't really need to calibrate it as such. It looked very well, very good. In terms of its overall sort of colors on the sides, so obviously, you know, the sides in the middle are always one of the weaknesses of LED displays, just because of how it's lit, and I didn't find that much sort of a loss of color. I would say it's a little bit whitewashed at certain areas, but that can be easily adjusted by a little bit of calibration on your side. In other words, if you do it via Windows, or you get a certain tool to do it. So it is very nice, it looks very good, it does, you know, the colors come out very well, the blacks and the whites very much shine through, and you don't get any sort of problems. Now, one thing I did notice, however, which is, I guess, relating to the build quality, but also relating to the sort of colors, is on the side of the monitor, you do get a little bit of a drop-off edge. You can't see if you're looking straight on, but as soon as you start looking on the side, you'll notice it. Now, I don't know if my camera's going to pick it up, in all honesty, and it's very hard for me to even see it with the naked eye, but essentially in that corner over there, if I just try and zoom in, I don't know if it's going to, again, I don't know if it's going to pick up, but what I'm trying to say is that you do notice a bit of a drop-off range. So just there on that side, there, it's kind of curls in, and you can see that sort of curl, if that makes sense. Very hard to describe, very hard to even show, but basically I did notice it. So if you're going to be looking at this monitor at certain angles, you're going to notice a little bit of a drop off, and that drop off does affect the colors around that area, and does affect your viewing experience, because it looks kind of like it's almost looking at like a curved screen. So like the Galaxy S6 Edge, you got a little curved screen, it feels like it has a little curve on the side, and therefore the color kind of drops off. It's not something, again, that you notice when you're looking straight on, but as soon as you start looking at an angle, left or right, you do notice it. So do bear that in mind if you're going to look at it left and right. Top and bottom, I didn't notice any sort of problems there. So something to bear in mind. It's something I noticed, and it's something, I don't know if it's build quality or it's just to do with the actual panel itself. Now finally, it's gaming performance. So I did test it in terms of playing Counter-Strike, which is a very competitive game where you need very much fast response time all the time. And it wasn't a monitor that I would ever use for gaming. It was just too slow. Its 14 millisecond response time really showed how slow it is, so to speak, and it just felt too slow. It wasn't responding that quick, and I just felt I was a little bit hindered in terms of when I was playing competitive. On top of that, I should say there is a massive monitor, so I can't see anyone realistically using this for gaming. I mean, I game on a 27-inch monitor as it is, which is massive, but I mean, if you just look at the size proportion in terms of your desk, you're sitting quite close there, and therefore it's going to look absolutely massive. So do bear that in mind. If you're going to be playing games, then you might want to play like beautiful or sort of racing games and things like that, where response time is not a major issue. It's still an issue in any sort of game, but it's not a major issue. But when you're playing games like Counter-Strike or like a first-person shooter game where you need to react quickly, a massive monitor like this is probably not only overkill, but probably not for you. So I wouldn't suggest it to gamers, and I didn't really feel it was really up to a standard for gamers anyway. But in terms of its overall look and what its purpose to build for, like multitasking, having a beautiful screen if you want to video edit or photo edit, then this monitor is sensational. So I do recommend it for that purpose, and it is built for that purpose. It's not built for gamers, in my opinion, at least from what I can tell. So I do really recommend it, guys. £600 is a lot of money to spend, and you know, at that price you can buy even a 4K display. Is it worth it? I would say not really at 600. I'd much rather it to be, say, 350. I can see that being much more realistic, considering nowadays we've got 4K, we got you know, high-end gaming monitors as well, high-end IPS displays or a PLS display. So I can't see myself recommending it at £600, but if it was cheaper, then you know, £350, £400 I felt would be much more realistic price range for general consumers. But you know, who knows, if you got the money, then why the hell not? Anyway guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Again, make sure you check out links in the description below, both for Amazon and the specs, in case you're interested in buying it or want more info. Definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Alright guys, I've been Totally Dubbed. Take care. Bye bye.